All right, what's going on, everybody? My name is Joseph Honeyset.
My name is Joel Ingaloo.
And we are Crown. Thank you so much for joining us for this mini webinar. We're going to get straight to the point because we're about value. We're not about time or frequency. And we're going to talk about faith and business today. That's what we are about. We are bold about our faith. We believe in God. And guess what? Business is actually a biblical concept. How do I know that? So for those that don't believe me, I'm going to tell you my resources so you can go and do your due diligence. So probably the largest distributed book ever in the world, called the Bible. In Genesis, which is the first book of the Bible, it talks about we as human beings are created in the image and likeness of God. Okay, and so some of you may be listening to this and be like, hey Joe, like I've gone to church all my life, kind of like you. What is the image and likeness of God? Well, if we turn to Genesis 1:1, it says that God created. And us as entrepreneurs, consultants, solopreneurs, coaches, guess what? We all create. We take a thought and we turn it into something physical or digital, and we serve the target audience that we want to help.
And for me, I grew up in a hustle mentality family, but I also grew up in a church-going family. So every Sunday I was at church. I would sit in the audience, I would gaze and look at the audience and say, I see wealthy people. I want to be like that. But when I'm sitting here in the sermon, I'm not learning anything about business, anything how to grow money, anything about wealth. On the other end, I will go to school every day and learn math, science, all the skills that you need. But they don't teach you how to make money. And so I was lost and confused trying to figure this out myself. Speaking of us, about me a little bit is I come from the Congo, fresh off the boats. Y'all not knowing any English, having to survive and figure everything out yourself. We hustled, we grinded, we sold things, we made money the best way we can, right? I went to school, I got an undergrad degree, I got a master's degree, I did what you're supposed to do, but I still was alone, confused, figuring out how to make successful money and wealth.
And so in 2006, this is where Joel and we got connected. My family moved from New York City to Texas, and we lived 5 minutes away from each other. We went to the same schools, we played on the same basketball teams, we went to the same churches. However, my family they taught me a little bit differently. You know, my family was kind of just good by just getting by, right? There was no hustle in our house unless it was to the dinner table. And so I was taught, go to school, get a good education, you get a good education, you get a good job, you work that job for 20, 30, 40 years, then you get a retirement, and then that's when you get to live life. See, I don't believe that. I actually believe that when you wake up every single day, you should be living the life that you truly desire. There is no purpose in paycheck, ladies and gentlemen. And in fact, that's, again, back to why we're supposed to live in that image and likeness of God. It's purpose over paycheck.
Yes, and after a whole year of doing this, we have spoken over 500 business owners. Literally last week, we were talking to one of our clients, and she was basically saying this: how are you guys so bold about your faith without any persecution? And we're like, why? That's the whole point. We're here to be that light. We're here to be that hope for people, right? And she was struggling because she's trying to grow her business the right way, the godly way, but she's afraid of losing clients. Her words were like, half of my clients aren't Christian, Joseph and Joel, so how can I be bold about my faith and losing money? No. That's a scarcity mindset. Remember in Exodus, whenever the Israelites were being tried and tested, what happened? Pharaoh took half of their straw, but they still had to make the same quota. And that's the scarcity mindset the devil wants you to have.
And in fact, you think naturally, well, if I make something for everybody, then that's going to get me more customers, that's going to get me more clients, that's going to get me more patients, so on and so forth. However, us as human beings, we want to do business and we want to do life with people that actually believe the same things that we believe in, right? And so if you provide something for everyone, it's actually for no one. It actually is disinteresting, because us as human beings, we like exclusivity. That's why you're on this call, because you want to build a business bigger than you. You want to have an impact. Most people aren't focused on the impact. They're just more focused on, looking cool and just collecting some money. But here's the truth, okay? The highest form of frequency, some of you may know it, so maybe some of you listen to this, said love. That's close. That's the second highest form of frequency. The highest form of frequency ever is authenticity. And this is what we do with these entrepreneurs, these kingdom entrepreneurs that live by faith, that want to be bold in their business and market based upon their values, not their pocketbook. And so just like dogs, they smell fear, human beings smell BS. That's why you've been struggling up into this point with your business, because it's not resonating, right? You want to be bold about your business or bold about your faith, but when it comes to your business, you're not willing to shine your light in actually who you are as a Christian entrepreneur.
Exactly. So when me and Joseph are speaking with these business owners, a lot of them are struggling. Why? Because they don't have a good foundation. They don't have a good base. How many times when you buy a house, you just buy it and you go on your day? That doesn't happen. Before you buy the house, the inspector comes in, checks up all the specs to make sure the house is safe and ready to buy. But why aren't we doing that with our businesses? Why aren't we doing that with our endeavors? We don't have a solid foundation. You know the story. Two people. There was a foolish man and a wise man. Both of them experienced the same storm. The wise man built his house on the solid rock. The foolish man built it on the sand by cutting corners. The storm came, we know what the solution, you know what happened, right? And so the same thing with your business. Like, are you building that solid rock on Christ? Are you building on biblical principles? That's the question you need to answer for yourself. One thing we like to talk about is being the light of the world. Y'all, there's so many things happening in the world, happening in America. It's getting dark. People are divided more than ever. And it's prophecy, but it's also prophecy for Christians to stand bold and be that light and be that beacon of hope. So when the world goes chaos, they look at you and say, I want that. I want that light that you have. And we can say it was all Christ.
And this is why these foundational principles are so important, right? Everybody wants to have a big business and go and impact and be bold about their faith. But if you're not willing to be the light, then you're not going to be the lender and you're going to be the borrower, right? That's what the Bible talks about, right? It says that if we follow Christ, hey, we are going to be richly blessed by following him. And in fact, I think Christians, to be honest with you, have the brokest mentality out of all other groups out there, because people have manipulated scripture all the time. They say, hey, Joe, actually, I don't really care about money. I'm just, I care about impact. It's like, my brother, do you not realize you have to have money to go and impact? They say things like, money is the root of all evil. But in fact, the verse says the love of money is the root of all evil, which is why we tell people focus on purpose rather than profit. Everybody wants to go and chase the bag. Hey, I'm chasing the bag. My brother, why are you chasing after anything? If you're chasing it, they're running away from you. I got single friends that are like, yeah, I'm chasing women. I'm like, brother, you chasing them because you ugly, okay? And so when you focus on purpose over profit, here's the thing. They think that you're not supposed to add both purpose and profit. But guess what? You actually become authentically you when you mix your purpose with your profit, because you're focused on impact rather than profit. The profit is the byproduct by serving people in your God purpose. Again, this is why your message as a Christian entrepreneur is not resonating. You're frustrated because no one's buying your product. Well, it starts from your message. It starts from your offer, and it trickles down through everything else, right? And so if you're not authentically being you, people authentically don't want to buy your product, because dogs smell fear and people smell BS.
So with Crown coming to our network, what do you get? You get state-of-the-art. We have high-level business consultants that have done this for years and know what works. So you get a done-for-you funnel, an offer creation, social media management, access to over 500 business owners in the Dallas and San Antonio community. You get to come to our events, be highlighted, and represent your business and be in front of those people. You also get branding and industry authority. You become an expert in your industry. You also get complimentary consultation, the fivefold ministries, basically knowing more about yourself, the strengths and weaknesses that you have, but it'll also help you to lead others and put them in the right place. You also get to be a guest on our podcast. You get world-class sales training, and you get biblical business mindset coaching.
And so to work with us is a cool cool cost of $9,997. And I know what you're thinking. Joseph, Joel, I've already paid for masterminds. I haven't had any changes in results. But here's the thing, the reason for that is because you've been pursuing mentorship and coaching from worldly figures. Not saying that they're bad, but as kingdompreneurs, and let's break that down for a second. As kingdompreneurs, that means we are entrepreneurs for the king's domain. We work exclusively with Christian business owners like yourself. That's why no one knows how to market your business better than we do. That's why we've been able to get results for these Christian business owners, is because message is everything and it trickles down. Stop making the same mistakes that we even used to make. You know, I say God either hits you with a 2x4 or he gives you an open door. Stop getting hit with a 2x4, and Crowned is your open door.
And I want to leave you with this. The Bible talks about we're all saints, we're all kings, we're all queens, but remember, Jesus is the King of Kings.
Oh, that was good.